we got a brand new Xbox game showcase from Phil Spencer and his team featuring a ton of reveals and surprises. There's a lot to talk about. Who better to talk about the present and future of Xbox than the
Ryan
Xbox
McCaffrey
himself? They want to hear from you, my friend, not me. Phil Spencer, thank you and welcome to IGN Live.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everybody.
So
your energy's incredible.
We have 1 hour together on the dot, and we have some friends coming in halfway through, some other awesome Xbox developers. So
people who actually build games.
I don't want to waste a second with you here, and I want to start. I said this earlier on this stage. I think you just had the best showcase you've ever had. I really mean. I said it before you got here.
Thank you, Ryan.
It really was fantastic. Now, I know you plan these things months and months in advance. For anybody that doesn't know, that like the planning for this starts like the beginning of the year kind of thing.
That's right.
It's crazy. So I'm curious, at what point do you, with this one this year, do you get a feeling that, oh, this one's looking pretty good?
Yeah, you know.
Don't be humble. Just tell us the real answer here.
Honestly, like until our fans, the customers, you guys give us the feedback, like Aaron Greenberg and I were talking about this 2 weeks ago. Now, the thing that probably hit me the most was obviously just the passion of the teams of putting their amazing work on stage and seeing so many teams do great work. But it was based, I'd say 2 months ago, when I just looked at the kind of scale of the franchises, how much work the teams were doing to show up in the way they did, and the partners that we had in the show. Like, I was in awe of the show.
There's a couple games I want to ask you about specifically before we'll talk about some other stuff too, but the one that I said, right, for me, of all the great stuff from today, stole the show for me was something I wasn't expecting to see today again, which was Perfect Dark.
I knew you were going to say that.
Perfect Dark. A first-person spy espionage, some parkour, a little Mirror's Edge in there, which I love.
All playable, like all in-game. Somebody.
And that game's been cooking for a long time.
It has.
That we've followed.
Our partners at Crystal have been doing amazing work there.
Yeah, Crystal was brought in to help it keep going. So what has it been like for you to kind of follow the very long trajectory of that game from, you know, it started with Daryl Gallagher starting a studio. And
just
now,
down the street.
Yeah, and now we're finally here. Like, so how has it been kind of getting to this point with Perfect Dark?
Yeah, you know, in parallel, building a studio while you're building a game, and something that Perfect Dark back to N64 and obviously us with PDZ on 360, like there's just such anticipation for that game, and I really appreciate everybody's patience because we've been talking about this for a long time, and like my team can verify this. When I saw it, I said, this is the one that Ryan's going to love because we know his love for Spy. And I said, this is the one. And just so proud of the team. And it really just came together so well. And I mean, a cool little story. Daryl had our other studio heads down at the studio just yesterday and walked through that same section in-game to show them, like, this is a game being played. And I love seeing our community of creators coming together that way.
Well, another, the one more thing, which we were all hoping for and got, was a new Gears of War game, but it wasn't. It wasn't Gears 6.
It was not.
It was not Gears 6. So, what you have a visibility into everything, but I'm curious, when you're in a meeting with, maybe it's Matt Booty, maybe it's Alan Hartman, but the Coalition folks, like when you learn that they've gone down the E-Day road, the prequel road, rather than Gears, like what was your reaction when you found out that was going to be the next direction for Gears of War?
Well, you know this. We've had some changes in leadership at the studio. Rod, who was there, is now leading Diablo for us. So I actually thought, a Diablo game I'm playing a ton of, I thought it was a nice opportunity for that team to establish their Gears, right? And following on Gears 5, just because the numerical thing, like I think it would this was an opportunity for them to take it back to an origin story that I know you know, that has a lot of like real depth to it in terms of Emergence Day, and tell that story through the Coalition as it is today. I thought, like, what a great opportunity. I was excited. And then you probably saw, I know you heard it, the Mad World tune in the play piece.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for those of us who remember the 360 commercial, like, how iconic was that? So when they went back and sourced that and brought that through the piece, I think it just showed that they kind of stayed true to what Gears is, but tell a new story, new arc.
Now, you're wearing a very cool Xbox Pride shirt today, but a year ago at the Xbox Showcase, you freaked out people like me by wearing a Hexen shirt, which is a game that I have very near and dear to my heart. And now, well, then too, you had just acquired Hexen. You owned that as a part of many other things. But then today, I see the reveal for Doom: The Dark Ages, and I go, well, wait a second.
How awesome was that?
Hold on. Are you secretly making a Hexen game in the Doom universe? Because I know you and I share the love for this.
Yeah. No, I would like to say I'm actually smart enough to predict anything like that. I wasn't. But definitely, if you look at Doom: Dark Ages, and thanks to Marty and the team, they let me introduce that. Right, so I got to come out, and like I was going through all my old school stories. For those as old as me who remember, it's Doom 1 on a floppy going. My only PC that could run it was my PC at Microsoft, so I would sneak it at night, put it in so I could play. So the opportunity to stand there and get to announce a Doom, and then Doom: Dark Ages, which definitely has some Hexen in it, and I just thought, Hugo and the team, fantastic work. I'm so proud.
Now, I can't help but bring up something that's been a topic of conversation a lot recently, which is that Doom: The Dark Ages is also going to ship on PS5, something that you've done with some other games. So can you, from a business level, like, can you walk me through, you paid $7.5 billion to acquire Bethesda's ZeniMax. So what's the calculus, like, what's the process there for deciding, like, okay, new Doom, let's keep it multi-platform as it has been, or just put it on Xbox. So what's kind of the thought process there?
Well, on Doom, it's definitely one of those franchises that has a history on so many devices.
Yeah.
I think they have like Doom running on a lawnmower somewhere when you go back. But and it's a franchise that I think everybody deserves to play. I'm really proud of what the team, and to be honest, like I was in a meeting with Marty and the team a couple of years ago, and I asked Marty what he wanted to do. And he said he wanted to ship it on all platforms. I said, let's go do that. Like, it was as simple as that. Now, I want to bring it back, though, because I get a lot of questions about, hey, if I'm an Xbox owner, what does it mean? And what I want to say, and I thought it showed up so well in the show today, you saw an amazing collection of games that are coming to Xbox. They're going into Game Pass day one. And Game Pass showed up so well. If you buy the game on our console, you get to play it on PC. You buy it on PC, you get so the cross entitlement stuff is all there, and we're focused on future hardware with forward compatibility. Our commitment to our Xbox customers is you're going to get the opportunity to buy or subscribe to the game. We're going to support the game on other screens, and you are going to see more of our games on more platforms. And we just see that as a benefit to the franchises that we're building. And we see that from players, and the players love to be able to play.
Well,
thank you.
There you go. I have to do the journalistically responsible thing now and bring the mood down. Otherwise, the internet would tear me apart. So I wanted to ask you, you haven't really commented publicly much in the last couple months. So I wanted to ask you about the studio closures and Tango Gameworks and some of the thoughts behind the decision making there. I mean, you had a critical darling in Hi-Fi Rush. You had folks like Aaron Greenberg saying it checked all these boxes for us and did all the right things here. So, walk me through the decision of why. Really, Tango specifically, not to disrespect the other studios that were closed, but that was the one that really seemed to kind of stick in the community's craw a bit. So I'm hoping here that you can take the opportunity to address that closure and some of the recent changes in Xbox.
Yeah, the closure of any team is hard, obviously, on the individuals there, hard on the team. And I try to spend all of my focus, as you said, I haven't been talking publicly about this, because right now is a time for us to focus on the team and the individuals. It's obviously a decision that's very hard on them, and I want to make sure through severance and other things that we're doing the right thing for the individuals on the team. It's not about my PR, it's not about Xbox PR, it's about those teams. In the end, I've said over and over, I have to run a sustainable business inside the company and grow, and that means sometimes I have to make hard decisions that frankly are not decisions I love, but decisions that somebody needs to go make. We will continue to go forward. We will continue to invest in what we're trying to go do in Xbox and build the best business that we can, which ensures we can continue to do shows like the one we just did.
On the the Activision Blizzard saga, that's all been, that probably maybe
You called it saga?
Well, I don't know. Did it from covering it and watching it, it felt
Yeah.
like it put like 5 years on my life.
Yeah.
As somebody that covers Xbox, I can't imagine how it was for you. But as that came to a close, and you started integrating them into Activision Blizzard King, into Xbox Studios, has that changed the way that you think about running the business at all? Because the organization just got quite a bit larger, like almost overnight in a sense.
No, I mean, we're still, and I hope we show this today, we're going to be about building great games for people to play, about giving them choice on Xbox to go play. We've got a broader library of games. The thing I'm starting to see, which I really love, is the organic collaboration between our teams that are coming out and trying to build a community of creators that, I mean, you and I will go back to the time of Xbox where we basically had 4 games. Fable, Forza, Gears, Halo. And we would just literally every 4 years, and I would have to come to E3 and I'd somehow try to make those 4 games seem different every year for the community. And now what we have in gaming is just an amazing collection of teams and franchises that are doing great work. So I think, I feel an added responsibility as somebody who loves this industry for the franchises that show up on our stage. But I still think in the end, it's about putting amazing games out. Like, I'm really proud of the work that Ninja Theory did with Hellblade and how Hellblade's been the response to that. And we have an amazing internal team now that's focused on us doing a bunch of Unreal games as an example. And then you see things like South of Midnight, which might have been my game of the show. I thought it looked so good. You got Perfect Dark, you have Gears. So like for us, as the organization gets bigger, I think it's just more important that we can take bets together and try to do innovative, creative things. And that will continue to drive us.
All right, well, we've got to take a very quick break, but we've got lots more. Phil Spencer talking all things Xbox right here on IGN Live. So don't go anywhere.
Thank you. That's so cool.
Welcome back to IGN Live. Give it up for Phil Spencer joining us at IGN Live. We still have so much more to talk about, Phil. You and I in the past have talked a lot about the past of Xbox because there's a lot of great memories, but the present, as we saw today on the Xbox Game Showcase, is great. The future looks super promising here. And the Xbox business has changed dramatically.
It has.
Dramatically.
No doubt. Yeah.
Just in the past few years. And so when you make a almost $70 billion acquisition, do you start hearing from your bosses more, or are they still staying out of your way and letting you run the business? Because that's not an insignificant amount of money to spend on growing.
It's definitely not an
insignificant
insignificant amount of money. No, the support we get from the company, and my boss is the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Hey, Satya. We are given a ton of leeway to go and run and grow our business. But I'll say the thing that we challenge ourselves to do is to try to do new things. Like, I think if I go back 8 years ago, we said, hey, we're going to go ship all of our games on PC and console, and if you buy one on one, you get it on the other. And I got some reaction from people of, this is the worst decision ever, this is going to be the end of Xbox. And we announced Game Pass, and we started doing Game Pass. And I know some people looked at that and said, oh, you're going to teach people that games are free. and you're going to undermine the value in games. And what I can say sitting here today from our decisions on cloud, on Game Pass, on console, like right now, we have more Xbox console users than we've ever had in the history of Xbox. And even when I look at things like the impact of Game Pass, because I watch that and I love Game Pass, like how it showed up in the show today, I think was fantastic. But we also want people to be able to buy games. So I go back and I look and I say, okay, over the last 5 years, what's happened to third-party game sales on our platform? We're up double digits every year over the last 5 years on game sales on Xbox consoles. So when I look at it, I will just, doing a $70 billion acquisition will push us to try to do more. It'll push us on cloud. It'll push us to go find customers in new places, continue to think about access to amazing games, enabling creators to do great work. But I actually think for the team, that's just a self-motivation that the team has, and it's fun to be a part of.
Black Ops 6, day one Game Pass.
Black Ops 6,
sweet,
dude.
Right? Like,
some people said I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, most people in this room have probably been used to spending 60, 70 bucks on it every year. Now, if they're already subscribing to Game Pass, good to go.
But it's a choice. Like, we didn't say to anybody, you have to subscribe to play. If you want to buy Black Ops, it's great. It's great for us. It's great for the developer. If you want to subscribe, it's also great. Like, I want to give you the choice on how you play your games and who you play with, and not try to do slimy platform things to force you to do what I want you to do. Give the players choice and what they want to do and who they play with.
So the Activision Blizzard thing, we watched it play out in courtrooms and regulatory
with
places.
my tie on.
Yeah, like I'm curious, what was the biggest unexpected challenge for you and the team at Xbox during the course of that?
For the management team, like Sarah Bond, Lori Wright, Linda Norman, who's our lead lawyer at Xbox, like we all had our same job of running Xbox and doing the things that we needed to go do, Matt Booty. But then we actually added like this second job in the time of having to work through regulatory. And I didn't, it's my fault as the head of the business. I didn't really internalize that in the beginning of what a drain that would be on the team. And I think we saw that. I think we saw it in our execution on a couple things that we were doing, multiple things at a time that we hadn't planned for. And I'll say it's really nice to be post the acquisition, working with those amazing teams. I mean, how they showed up in our show today, fantastic, right? I just thought it was great. I mean, we had World of Warcraft in an Xbox show. Like, it's just crazy.
Was there ever a point in the process, because it really, between the CMA and the FTC and all these places, was there ever a point where you thought, oh, this might not happen, like this might get rejected?
Well, we always have to plan for all contingencies. Yeah. Like, we consider everything. Like, you have to in running the business. But we felt like we were on the side of right. Like, meaning we weren't doing this so we could pull Call of Duty from PlayStation players. It was never in our plan. I mean, I think my whole inbox leaked on the internet. So if anybody wanted to find that was the plan, you would find it somewhere. And it wasn't there. So we believed we were in the right on getting this deal done. So we stayed convicted. But there were dark days. Like, when the CMA came out and said, no, this isn't going to go through. And, the drag on the teams at Activision, Blizzard, and King, like, they're dealing with this uncertainty. So it's so nice to have it passed behind us, and now we can just focus on building great games together.
On that topic, like, we talk about all these huge changes to not just the industry, but again, specifically your business, the Xbox business over the last 5 or so years. What is today, like, as we sit here now, what's the thesis statement? What's the modus operandi for Xbox today, and how has it changed over the last 5 years?
Yeah, and I see some of the feedback that our messaging from some people that maybe our messaging hasn't been consistent. And I always hear the feedback and I take it. Like, feedback is great. I will say from early on, we would say when everybody plays, we all win. Like, how do we get in a place where everybody can play video games? And we've made different progress on PC. Now, like, PC is a huge business for us. We love that we have so many PC players, more than we've ever had. Our console's doing so well. But I think if you sit back and you try to frame this industry through the lens of the tradition of who sold a console today, and that's the only solution to making gaming better. I think Xbox is doing something different than that. We love our consoles, we love our PC players, but really it's about creators and players and amazing games coming to them.
It has, admittedly, for all of us, creators, players, it has been a weird generation because it started weird in this pandemic. And I'm curious, would you do anything differently in this Xbox Series generation? If you could kind of go back and tell yourself,
I'm not really a regrets guy. Like, I don't, like, there's 100 decisions I make that, like, in hindsight, maybe I would make it different with all the data. But you got to just bet. You got to bet on yourself and bet on the teams, have a vision of what you're trying to do. When you get punched in the face, you get back up and you try to go do things. So, like, I'm not really one who looks back and say, I wish I would have done this or that. If you're in a position like this, you just, with the team that we have, you just have to believe and you have to keep pushing forward and take the feedback from amazing customers that talk to us every day.
Has the calculus changed? You kind of spoke to Game Pass a little bit and how much of a value proposition it has increased after today even, but has the calculus changed on how much Game Pass subscriptions are valued at Microsoft versus direct sales? Like, because now, when Game Pass started, it was, wow, this sounds really cool, and you've pledged to put every first-party release in there, and at the beginning, there weren't a lot of those, but now you're almost, like, you had a whole show full of them. So kind of how does that metric for success, like, how does Game Pass influence the success of the business?
The thing I look at every morning is how many people played on our platforms and how long did they play. If they played through the subscription or they paid buying their games or they're playing a free-to-play game, I honestly, that's not the most important thing. Game Pass, I love it. I think it's the thing I really love about Game Pass, let me think, in our show today, a game like Mixtape. Like, a game like Mixtape is a game that we can go, Nathan, Val, and I can have a conversation and say, with a team that's been in Game Pass before, when you think about the studio behind, they had great success. Now we're going to do a second game, or like Winterboro, another like just awesome game that we can go invest in. And Game Pass gives us an ability. You can go invest in Call of Duties and Diablos all day, and we love that. But you also get to invest in new things that come out, and we just think that's a really important part of the equation. So we don't have like one now. Game Pass is up double digits, like, and in most of its growth, we said it. PC is growing really well, cloud's growing really well. But if somebody decides they want to buy their games and build their library, peace. Like, there's no, we need to turn everybody into this or that. We just want people to play.
I want to talk about Fallout for a second. So you guys are currently having an awesome pop culture moment.
Fallout TV show.
Months.
Yeah, so good.
So good. But I can't help think about that. A year or two ago, I was sitting with Todd Howard with a camera rolling, and I asked him, well, Fallout 5, is that, you want to do that yourself, or maybe now there's all these Xbox studios, you could maybe have some help with it? And he said, no, I want to, that's mine. I'm going to direct that.
But Todd likes his things.
But does the massive success of something like Fallout, I would argue is Xbox's biggest cultural moment in quite a while. Like, it transcended
outside of gaming. Yeah.
And so, after the TV show blows up and there'll be a season 2, and I'm sure it'll probably keep going past that. Do you talk to Todd about, like, you can't stop the Elder Scrolls 6 and say go do Fallout 5, but you have all these studios. Like, do you have a conversation about, like, well, how can we do a big new Fallout while the iron's really hot here with the TV show?
Yeah, I'll just say that Todd's recognized the success of the television show on his own, right? He doesn't need me to kind of go, and it is amazing to see how gaming is now playing such a role all up in pop culture. If you go back, like, as an old comic nerd, I go back like 10 years, and it seemed like every Hollywood thing came from the comics. And now you see video games and this art form that we've loved for so long, whether it's the Mario movie, Last of Us, Fallout show, like you see our creatives in our industry being recognized for the worlds and storytelling that they can go do. For us specifically, Fallout's been amazing. And yeah, Todd's kind of looking at the plans on what he's doing. I'm not going to get into it, but I'll say Todd has recognized the success on his own and is thinking through what that means.
I guess while we're on the subject, have you seen The Elder Scrolls 6 lately? Because I know you get to take a look at a lot of stuff.
I'll refrain from comment.
I think we all know what you mean by that.
That's right, boomy. Boomy.
Oh my goodness. Well, ask Todd to,
Todd,
I know you can't hurry.
Speed it up, Todd.
We're waiting here, pal. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about that I thought we actually might hear something about from you. I mean, you had a great show. I'm not complaining. But I thought, well, there's something that's been rumored, that's been talked about. We talked about it on the pre-show. There was a big reaction from our audience here, and that is an Xbox handheld.
Yeah.
So you're a guy. I mean, you have the gamer score to prove it. Like you walk the walk. You are not a guy that runs the business and never touches a game. You actually pretty much do nothing but play video games. And I mean that as a compliment.
I do work sometimes, but yeah.
But really, seriously, like
I love that. I don't do anything but play video games. It's kind of true.
You've been building the business around this mantra of go where the players are. Whether it's on PC, whether it's through the cloud.
So we should have a handheld.
I think so.
I think we should have a handheld.
Do you want to say anything about
No, I don't want to say it. I think you have to have Sarah on. Sarah Bond, our president of Xbox, which is awesome. But like the future for us in hardware is pretty awesome. And the work that the team is doing around different form factors, different ways to play, I'm incredibly excited about. Today was about the games.
Yeah.
We showed some of our Gen 9 consoles, Series S, Series X, the work that we're doing. But we will have a time to come out and talk more about platform, and we can't wait to bring it to you guys.
All right, I'm not going to let you off the hook quite.
Okay.
One more
I tried.
So hypothetically, if Microsoft did an Xbox gaming handheld, PC device, would it be a Steam Deck-like dedicated piece of hardware that I can play offline, or would it be something I would need a Wi-Fi connection to stream things from?
No, I think what I'm finding, I'll do it this way. So I like my ROG Ally, my ROG Ally is my Lenovo Legion Go, fantastic, my Steam Deck. I think being able to play games locally is really important.
You can read between the lines on that, as you will. All right. We're going to take a very quick break, but we're not done with Phil. We're going to bring in some friends, some Xbox developers. So stay tuned for that right after this here on IGN Live.